Gentlemen, thank you for joining today. I mean, first off, when we did this first with the 66s, that was okay, but I'm getting more and more mogged with every day, and the bigger the gentlemen are that are coming on. But we got American shooters in the 105s and the 120s, not only teammates on Team USA, but teammates actually, both under Marcellus. Fellas, this has been one of the wildest worlds I've been a part of, and I've been a part of a lot of them. Before we take a look ahead, I would like to take a look back, if I can. What was your guys' impressions on what we've seen? I'll throw it to you, Ash. What are some of the big standout moments?
There's a couple of obvious moments. The first being the 66 outcome. I mean, I definitely didn't see that coming. I actually got to meet the guy who won the other day. Super nice guy. The other moment that really stood out, of course, was the very obvious 83 victory of Jurins over Russ. Another one that, well, maybe American lifters perhaps didn't as much see coming. It seems like everyone in Europe kind of had him pegged to win, or at least half of them. And I'm not sure how much of that was because of how well his training was going, which I was monitoring. But I think it had a lot more to do with, kind of beating this, American fervor that we were perceived to be coming with.
It is. So what was your guys' impression? Coming in, there was talk of the sweep. And I had Jesus Oliveras on here yesterday, and I asked Jesus about it because obviously he grabbed the microphone at PA Nats. And, okay, he gave context to all of this. Believe it or not, 30 seconds before, roughly, they said, we're going to give you the mic, Jesus, if you want to stand up and just say a few words, motivational words for the team. And Jesus, with no prep, grabbed the mic and thought, well, A, this is a sensational line. B, it'll unify the team. It's us against them. So it's unifying the team. It's a sensational line that people will probably respond to, but really had like 60 seconds. Walked up there and said, and God bless, maybe we get that sweep, baby. And from there, the rest is history. And how did you guys feel when you heard the sweep talk? And now we're kind of somewhat seeing, how do you guys feel about the rest of the world now?
Yeah, so don't get me wrong. When all of that was kind of initially going down, so I had left by that point. I had to go back to work. But when I was kind of watching and listening to that, the lineup that we had was, undoubtedly sensational. And, was there a possibility of a sweep? And I've kind of talked with this about this particular topic with some people. Absolutely, there was a possibility. But was it probable? Not really. There's too many things that would have had to go right or even perfect for that to occur. And the odds just weren't simply in our favor for something like that to occur. I mean, I think I knew that logically going into all of this. And it has seemed to be the case every year for the Raw team. So I really didn't expect this year to go that much different from all of the other years, all the other history. But it was exciting to think about, at least for a little while.
Here it is, and I'm going to get your impression in a second there, Bob. But I think people are learning. There's, you listen to preview shows, and oftentimes I've probably said it myself. I've done the math, and this is where I peg this person to be. I've done my research, and this is where I peg my person to be. And America was coming in the two divisions that they lost. I say lost in quotations because Jonathan and Russ are on the podium. They're going to World Games. They've done great. But Jonathan and Russ previously had the biggest nomination, the biggest total coming in, and were, if you're looking at that, would have been the strongest. But when you come to Worlds, it doesn't always hit the platform. And even, Jones was on the podcast saying, look, I was hitting these numbers in training, and he was. And he's like, certain people knew it was going to be tight if Russ wasn't 100%. Jones himself said, I thought coming in I was probably battling for silver. But you never know what happens. Maybe Jones, what he was doing in prep wouldn't transpire on the platform. It did. Russ, what he did previously on the platform may not come to the platform this time just a few months later. It didn't. In sports, it's too difficult. You have to have, to your point, was it a possibility? Absolutely. But everything kind of has to shake up in your favor. What were you thinking, Bob, in terms of, because we talked about this actually on the podcast, and you were like, I'm in a battle. That's easy for some people to say, I'm in a battle.
Right. At first, when I was on the podium, Jesus saying his speech, I'm like, I'm zoned out. You know, I'm not really thinking sweep because I don't really even know who the 59 or the 66 is. I know everybody else. I only now got accustomed to who they are. So I was like, when I actually like thought about it, I was like, no, this narrative is toxic. It's gonna motivate everybody else, and the odds are just too low if you really think about it. Just because the nominations, the totals we're putting in for Worlds is high, it's a lot more than just that. And a lot of us are new faces as well. So, yeah, we look good on paper, but we actually have to execute 59, 66, 74, 83, 93. That's a lot to ask for. So that's why on the podcast I was like, the odds are just no. Even for me, like I could literally lose, literally, and then sweep done. But sweep got finished by the 66. That was so early, right?
Yeah, day 2.
So there's a lot. I feel like maybe it even pressurized some lifters. I don't know if lifters will be open about it, if it pressurized them or not. But I would say it didn't pressurize me because I know what it is. I know what reality is. But we don't know how it would affect someone like a 59 or a 66 because they're the first ones going.
Right.
So
yeah. Well, let's expand on that maybe. So Matt Gary, the head coach, obviously was saying, I mean, he's fine with certain lifters saying it. He was fine with Jesus saying it, shoot your shot, etc. But he was like, I'm not going to say it as the head coach exactly because of that. He's like, I don't want to put more pressure on individuals if the individuals want to talk. But the one thing is, it's one thing to talk for yourself. I'm confident I'm going to win. But when you say sweet, God bless, like Jesus did, and he had 60 seconds to get ready for it. He did throw the pressure on everybody else as well, though. Although he would say, I'm just showing confidence in my team. But how do you guys feel now that the pressure was off, so to speak, come day 2? Do you think, all right, look it, the sweep's over, the rest of the world celebrated it. It is continuing to celebrate it. Now we're kind of seeing, oh, we've galvanized the rest of the world. Now it's them against us. But now that the sweep talk, well, the sweep talk isn't over. People are still rubbing the salt. But now that the sweep is over, does it take a little pressure off? Does it change things for you?
Does it change things for me?
Yeah.
Not really. I'm a sore loser. I don't like to lose. I go into all of these big meets accepting the possibility that I might lose if I don't do everything that I'm supposed to. So, I never really go off and say much, especially before competitions, because there isn't much to say. I kind of show up and I do what I always do and, try to win.
Yeah, fair enough. How about you, Bob? Do you think now that the sweep talk is over, or again, okay, the sweep talk isn't over, now that the sweep is over?
Technically, we could still craft sweep.
What do you mean? Craft
We can still craft sweep. Technically. No pressure, though. No pressure.
Yeah, I mean, Petrie's in a hell of a fight today.
Yeah. But as far as pressures, now that it's over, the pressure hasn't changed for me because there wasn't really no pressure anyways for me. I look at me as my own lifter, and I already went into this meet with the sweep not happening. I'm not gonna lie. So there was never any pressure, and it doesn't change now.
If we look at what has taken place, let's talk about Russ first. Were you guys shocked with the reception? Russ talked about this where he said he's a popular lifter. He walked in there and the crowd seemed to be cheering and almost wanting to will Jurgens to a victory. And when he won, everybody exploded. And you were there. Were you there for that one?
I wasn't there. I was
Okay.
I was flying in.
Okay. Well, you were there. You felt everyone was stomping their feet and cheering. And I haven't experienced something like that maybe since Sheffield. Do you guys feel like, due to the sweep talk, or maybe even if there wasn't a sweep talk, Team America will always and forever have a target on them? Is there a vibe that you think is them against us, and if they get a win over an American, it's going to hit a little bit different?
I think that vibe has been there since I came 10 years ago to Hungary, to be honest. Even when I came back then for equipped and like juniors and like I felt it then too. You know, this vibe of, you know, back then they used to joke around and say, you know, these titles don't mean much if you don't beat an American or Russian, because the Russians were competing in IPF back then, or a Ukrainian, right? And that, I think we've kind of always had that target on our back. I think now it's just, it's becoming more and more visible to everyone else, and more people want to act on it. So.
Oh, it's enhanced now more than ever. They hate us more than ever. The sweep really, really motivated them. Like I watch a lot of these lifters, Jurns especially. He hates the talk of the sweep. He hates the talk. Yeah, they want to destroy us. Anatoly Etienne, the one in my weight class.
Yep.
I see some stories of some really. He's so motivated for his country to like show them that we are better than America. Tony,
Tony Cliff.
he posts so many anti-American
Did he call you
things.
Sideshow Bob or whatever?
Yes, yeah, he did. Yeah, he posts many anti-American things, so they are motivated now more than ever. And I'd have to think back about any other weight classes that really show anti-Americanism regarding this comp. But yeah, they hate us.
Well,
They hate
I
us.
wouldn't. They don't hate me, but
Well, I mean, if you take an L, let's see what happens. This is the thing is like, Russ was like, I didn't know until I took the L. And then all of a sudden, but I honestly believe it's not Russ, it's not you or anything like that. It's more if an underdog wins.
He should have known. He should have watched
yeah.
He should have known.
Well,
Yeah, the way the crowd celebrated for after Jonathan Garcia missed his deadlift, and then Penna, and then the champ.
Kasim saying, yep.
Yeah, congratulations. My God, the crowd was insane.
Yeah,
So
did
I'm
you-
watching everybody.
Yeah.
I'm paying attention to the crowd. That matters. So yeah, he should have known.
So you feel as though even in the 66s, that well, because Penna's, do you think maybe there could be several pieces here? Do you think it was anti-American, or is Penna is super duper popular, or do you think it's like a little all the above, but still?
Anti-American.
it's all the above. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I definitely talk with a few of the GB and other countries. Just because of the talk of the sweep.
And to a point, Jesus said he was trying to make it teams versus teams a little more and make it so it's Team USA versus and all these other nations. And it became a storyline that the sport is really running with. Like sometimes we go to IPF Worlds and it becomes, insert lifter's name one, insert this lifter's name one, as opposed to Canada, US, France, etc. Now, I do think France, to an extent, we have had a storyline in the women's side, USA versus France. But how much of this nation versus nation talk do you think is a little different this year than previous years due to talk of the sweep or even just the way it's unfolded, period?
No, I think my answer pretty much remains the same. I think it's been there, but I think now it's just magnified because of those things. So a lot of the, I think, anti-American sentiments that Bob are bringing up have just been amplified and are a lot more intense than they used to be. And with that said, to the rest of the world, I mean, you guys can't take one sentence from a video and just pretend that everyone's just kind of on board with saying that. And I love Jesus. I know he was just trying to hype everyone up, but
I know what you mean, but I ain't gonna lie. When that Jesus was passionate.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
well, so that's the thing. He's a sensational lifter, right? He's a super heavyweight, so that's the biggest weight class, and people love seeing big people move big weights, right? But that doesn't mean...
No, I agree with you. I agree with you.
To me, that's just a very large leap in like logic to take. All Americans, they're just arrogant. They must be like this, and it's like...
But I could see the other countries' perspective because you got the strongest lifter in the world, the leader.
Yeah.
He's our Iron Man. And then he says that with passion and emotion. It's like everybody's eyes like looking up like their leader spoke.
It was almost like his unofficial captain. For a second there, I know you guys don't have a captain, but it kind of felt like the captain of the team grabbed the mic and was speaking for the team. Kind of?
Yeah.
No. I don't follow anyone.
Well, that's fair.
To me, it felt like that. Yeah, to me, it felt like that in a moment. Because I wasn't even expecting the speech.
Same. And the fact that they gave him the mic, because to your point, I think you're right, because he's super heavyweight. Mm-hmm. He's the strongest man in the world, and they gave him the mic. to speak for Team USA. And then to your point, you're like, hey, man, take it easy.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I know Jesus pretty well. I know where he was coming from. It was all love, but But yeah, I mean, of course, it's going to get spun a certain way.
Yeah, look at right now, it's pressure cooker, but like they say, pressure is a gift. It means people care, and now eyeballs are on it. And 15 years from now, when you look back, you'll be like, wow, that was wild. Wow, we had people, stomping their feet and cheering, and the views are absolutely insane right now. And it's become a storyline. So Jesus achieved a lot of what he wanted to achieve. Bob, let me ask you, if you've watched the 74s, obviously looking ahead, and I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but when you've seen Perk win with the total he won with, 2020 hindsight, some people immediately afterwards were saying, wow, did he win by too much? I'm going to get your opinion on this too, Ashton. Did he win by too much because Sheffield's ahead? However, next day, you see what happened to Russ, and it becomes, well, I mean, you can't tell if somebody's going to have a monster pull or what's going to happen. Too much, it's very easy to say that. Then the next day, it's like, wow, just freaking win and worry about the too much later.
He did win by a little too much, I'm going to be honest, because now Sheffield's is not as easy as before. Because the world record total was 815, and I pay attention to the other weight classes. He pushed it to 836. Let's say if his top end is 870, which is magnificent. Ash and I, we can beat the world record total by the same percentage or more, even more. Let's say Ashton is capable of 1,000 or I'm capable of 1,000 at 105 if I choose to do it, because even that's 50-50. That probably puts us at a W. So it's more competitive now that he did 836. So, hey.
But the following day, when you saw what happened to Russ, calls, IPF, jury interventions, etc., what do you think? You're in a very tight battle yourself against an individual who's, two-time best lifter at Worlds.
Yeah.
But you have the bigger total, just like Russ. What's your mind frame coming here? Because you're in a bit of a different situation. You could go, if you go 105, depending on how all this shakes up, you have some options. So you could go all out for the win. But you're a little more in the position that we're talking about.
Yeah. So for me, the priority is first to win and then second to qualify for the World Games. It's not really to push the world record total. It's not to do anything, exceptionally crazy. And one of the main reasons for that is because I'm just not in my true prime form of lifting right now anyway. I mean, after, I went against Bob and Keenan in September because I had to lose weight and I was doing a lot of other sort of physical activity, non-powerlifting related, and I kind of had injuries snowball and pile up. It made prepping for PA Nationals even, and then Worlds shortly after, much more difficult. So I've had to do a lot more risk mitigation rather than actually pushing my true top end ceiling strength. So for me, the goal is just to come in and to put together a winning total, a winning day. With that said, if I go over the record, which I know I'm capable of, that's fine. But it's not going to be, so far over, the hill where it would just make Sheffield an impossible feat to win. I mean, I think, and I agree with Bob, yes, with Perkins, it was, in a sense, smart that they played it safe because they secured the world title. But now, for Sheffield, I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think.
Yeah, you have to really comprehend the numbers, the current world record totals, and what people are actually possible, what they're capable of. And it's a competition. It's a comp.
People are crunching numbers in my DMs, and they're right. Both are true at the same time. Yes, Perk won by more than he needed to, and now has impacted his Sheffield potential. But also, yes, I could see where it'd be like, look at it. I don't know what the frick, because Shell is the greatest deadlifter in that weight class, and he's going to pull after Perk, and they're like, just knock it out the park and worry about that later. I can see both where on the day of, when it's on the line, if what happened to Russ happened to Perk and it was back-to-back days, my God, how do you bounce back from that? But it's a whole different type of conversation. How are you feeling in terms of, well, first off, you had said you want to win by only what you have, only what you need to just solidify the win and not worry about world records. Sure. In terms of battle plans, a little different than your situation with Russ. You are the bigger deadlifter. So you have an opportunity. You can go all out in squats and bench And then if you're well ahead, you're not going to worry about, you're going to pull last. So you can load exactly what you need to win, and there shouldn't be any surprises. Whereas with Russ, him and Jerns were coming in, depending on where they're at, very close on deadlifts, but on the day, Jerns ended up being like way bigger of a deadlifter. But it all depends on the platform. Your strategy-wise, coming in, are you going all out on squats and bench? Are you going to hold back a stitch? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I probably won't be shooting for 100% all-out grinder max on squats. I mean, I probably wouldn't try to do that at IPF Worlds anyway. This just doesn't seem to be the place to do that after watching it for the past few days.
Fair.
So I'm trying to be really strategic about that. You know, and I'm okay with not squatting my all-time PRs here. I'm humble enough to walk in and do what needs to be done. For bench press, I'll actually probably push that pretty decently. Deadlift, it's going to be similar to other meets. You know, that second deadlift very often puts the nail in the coffin for people. But we'll have to see how things actually shake out on the day. And then that third deadlift, if I need more, then I take more.
Would you even consider not coming out for a third dead if you don't need it, or are you the type of guy, I'll come out?
Oh, we'll see.
Fair enough. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. How about you, Bob? How, strategy-wise, and from what you've seen, are you going top end, or are you like, man, maybe I shallow up a little bit, sink all these squats, just more technically proficient?
I'm just going to show I've improved as a lifter, I'll say. As far as the definition of me going all out, people probably think that's fixated on 1,000 kilos, and I would love to hit that. But if it's not there, I'm not going to chase it. If it's wide open, best believe I'm going to load that, because it's right there. But once you chase a specific total, that's when you fail. You're lining yourself up for a high chance of failure. So if I have a strong meet, that's a PR total on any day. So that's all I need to do.
Yeah, it's if you hit 1,000 kilos and you're the first 120 to hit 1,000 kilos, that'd be
crazy.
That'd be crazy. That's another moment, isn't it?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. What's your impressions from both of you? I'll kick it to you first, Ash, but from coming over from USAPL, and you were in the IPF quite some time, 10 years ago, but in comparison, we were talking before this podcast started. I remember Gavin coming on the podcast saying, it's kind of boring with the crowd interaction. Now, that was a few years ago when he said that, and it was 2021. Since then, and kind of since the split, IPF Worlds has become straight up ruckus. Sheffield, straight up ruckus. It feels like a full-on legitimate sport now. It was always a sport, but I mean in terms of sports culture that we're used to seeing. This is what Russ kind of talks about, Jesus kind of talked about when they were here, where when you go to a basketball game, cheering, booing, stomping of the feet. This is my favorite. This is my favorite. Whereas previously, you come to a Worlds or certain meets, it's kind of like, not sure who everybody is, don't really have a horse in this race, clapping politely, whatever. What is your impression of, and previously, USAPL Worlds was spoken of as like ruckus. But now that you got a taste of what IPF Worlds is now, how do you compare the two, and are any in the progress of it?
Yeah, progress-wise, so if I had to look back in history to now, I would say that it's substantially improved. I've been impressed with what I've seen so far coming here. And again, this is my first one in so many years. All the other previous years, I really couldn't go in due to other things. But it's been very, I've been impressed. It kind of does remind me some of kind of how some of the Raw Nationals kind of were, hype-wise, crowd-wise, stuff like that. It's a little bit different, I think, here because the cheering just seems more, I don't want to say, I don't want to say like American, anti-American, like hostile, but you could tell like there is really something behind their cheering and chanting that goes like, we really want to beat this guy, we really want this guy to lose, and that kind of makes it more interesting. If they boo me, then so be it.
No, they're not going to boo you. They're not gonna boo you.
I don't. So were people? I don't think people were booing Russ, but I think they were for sure cheering Jerns and Anaharo. Yeah.
No, I'm saying I think it might get there.
Yeah, maybe. Well, here's the thing. If the sweep was still going on by the time you guys got to the platform, I think it would have got more and more intense.
Yeah.
I think now the sweep's over, it might have.
If the stakes were higher, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think for the 66s, it was international crowd. It's going to overtake the American crowd, of course. 74s, people kind of expect Austin to win, so maybe not. And plus, the sweep was already over by that point. 83s, fuck the sweep. They want Russ.
Yeah, they want Russ.
Yeah, wasn't that?
Yeah, that's bigger than the sweep to them. Beat Russ. That's what they want to do.
That might actually,
Yeah. So that's why the crowd was so crazy. 93s might be a little more neutral. And I think On is going to be a little more neutral as well.
Yeah.
Well, why do you think the 93s might be more neutral? Is it that when you're 5 years as the number one, and like not the champion, because Delaney was American as well. So when it's always America, 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 it's like, all right, it's time, my friend. We need to get one in. Is it that? Is it Russ himself is too big of a character, and they're like, man, this guy is like huge. Let's see. The bigger the profile you get, the more people want to see you fall. As opposed to like Petrie hasn't won it yet. He's a bit, I don't know if he's an underdog, but certainly coming in, he's the less established. So rooting against someone less established, underdog style, feels kind of weird. Is that what it is, or what do you think it is?
Well, there's two major narratives that have animosity. One is the sweep, and the other is Russ. Right? Just Russ. What's the next narrative? The only other narrative I could think of is me saying don't get clapped by 105, and then you lose, and then you got clapped in return.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So
It's a crazy thing to say.
did you say don't get caught by 105?
yeah. yeah, like that's the only other toxic narrative I could think of. There's no other narrative right now as far as the 93s as to where you'd see the crowd cheer crazily against Petrie. So
I don't think so.
Yeah,
either.
I think it's regular.
Yeah. I think 93s will certainly be more neutral, but we'll have to see how it looks tonight. I don't know. I mean, it could not be.
Yeah, you're right. That would be crazy. Shut me up. That would be crazy.
Here's the thing, too. Okay, so you were saying a quote-unquote toxic narrative, but I'll tell you what. I don't think it's toxic at all. This is sports, and is legitimately, we are here to compete.
Yeah.
And I think the more, some people like, I don't like the talk, I don't like this, that, and the other, then why is everybody leaning into it? If people don't like it, you want it to go away, give it absolutely zero oxygen, and it dies on the vine.
You're
but
right.
if you actually don't like it, then why are you talking about it so much? Why is everybody reposting, making memes or whatever? Don't tell me you don't like it.
No, they love it.
Yeah,
No,
you
they
do.
love it.
You kind of sort of do.
They love drama. Yeah,
You
people
need
love
it to
drama.
grow the sport.
Yeah.
Like women's basketball right now. Yeah.
Exactly.
You need
Yeah,
that
yeah.
toxicity to grow the sport. Caitlin Clark is going to blow up women's basketball because of all the narratives. And people are like, oh, she's not the best player in the world. She's not a top dog in the world. She's new to the WNBA. She's getting y'all views. She's growing the sport.
Yeah.
So these narratives help a lot. Goes for every sport.
Certainly, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's the same thing here. I mean, we all lift weights, sure, but people love drama, man. People love drama, and any way that we can kind of ignite that spark and it actually feels genuine really is when things start to take off. I mean, that's why that crowd was so crazy. That drama it ignited that spark, and people kind of took off running with it, and then they just went crazy. And I could see that happening more often in the future too.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. Just thinking about what future narratives are next.
Crazy. I don't talk enough. That's the problem. I just show up.
You know what? Sometimes. I remember one time you came on the podcast.
Oh, I did?
You dropped a, but one time that you came on the podcast, you dropped I'm going to destroy, this next year I destroy everybody. And I used that as literally, that's what I called the episode. And you won a bunch of battles and really had a phenomenal year. But it's good to stick your chest out sometimes. And I feel no two way. Actually, no, not even that I'm indifferent about it. I like it. I push it forward. Perk actually says, so what do you guys think about this? Delaney said before, when his celebrations, when you're winning and you're dancing on the platform, he feels like he took some heat from that. Perk, obviously winning and will let you know when he's winning. But he said, to an extent, like on the podcast, it was really revealing. He opened up. He was actually extremely nervous about Shell, extremely nervous about it. And he said, with these nerves and energy I have, if I smoke a squat and it happens, I jump up and it's, oh, let's go. Okay, I'm on. it's just the way he feels in the moment. It's genuine, is what I'm trying to say. And so, how do you guys feel about that? And some people are saying this is very American culture. Is it American culture? How do you guys carry yourselves afterwards?
Nah, I wouldn't say it's American culture. That's just them being them, celebrating. Because I'm not like that. Ashton,
You are kind of. You do the.
What? Do you do the crowd?
no.
I think so. Or you do this. Or,
Well, it's my own little hype thing, but it doesn't. You don't really see. I wouldn't say I'm a showboating celebrator.
no.
I don't think I am.
I don't
I'm
think
very
so.
conservative.
Not nearly to the same degree.
Yeah.
It's very subtle.
Yeah.
I think we're very.
You throw your belt.
Yeah.
But that's
Well,
natural.
I love into the crowd. I don't want to hit someone. With it.
Are you gonna throw your belt at IPF?
If they boo me, no, I'm just kidding. No, there will be no belt throwing at this meet. But
I'm done.
I need to bring that back into training. Maybe that's what I've been.
Ooh,
missing.
question. Can you control it?
Can I control?
Like, let's say if
like
you
the
hit.
velocity.
Let's
of the
say if
belt?
you hit.
The velocity or doing it, period. I love how you go with the velocity.
Yeah.
I'm like a fucking Marvel character, and that's my weapon. Like the Thor hammer.
Because it's out of excitement. So, like, what if you hit like a 400 kilo squat?
I don't know. We'll see. Now, so there was one time where I did throw a belt, and this poor guy was standing against the wall in the direction that I launched the belt, and I didn't know he was there. And the belt flew straight towards him, and he didn't know what to do. He just kind of stood there and froze. And I was like, "No, move!" And it flew about like a few inches up its head, and it banged the wall, and it broke the buckle of the belt. And I was like, "I'm so glad."
I thought you were gonna say it broke the wall.
It might have.
Yeah, I mean it's. Go ahead, Bob. What were you
Oh,
gonna
I was
say?
gonna
Okay. No, I mean, I do think it is genuine when these things happen. And although Russ said he's like, man, before my third squat, he's like, I had a celebration in mind. I was like, I'm gonna do this, whatever. And you have these pictures in mind. He goes, Nat, I got one red, and he's like, this is gonna get overturned. I'm not gonna bother.
Yeah.
Dude, he gonna just walk off.
He's like, I'm just gonna walk off and be like, all right, let's just see what happens.
It's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough.
But yeah, have you guys also? So before you guys came, like because it's your first Worlds for you in a long time, you've done it. But since like the social media boom and for you first Worlds period, I heard tons of talk about people in all these other different countries. There's an intrigue with you guys because it's a blessing and a curse when you come from America. I've talked about this before, but to get here, sometimes you can have ferocious battles in some weight classes that are extremely difficult. Jonathan Garcia had to break the freaking world record unofficially just to make the team, let alone come to the world championship. And there's an intrigue with you guys when you come around. And I've heard people say, like, how is Bob in real life? Is he cocky? Is he? And I'm like, no, man. He is as chill as you get. He's gonna be relatively quiet. I don't know what you're expecting, and asking about yourself as well, because obviously you guys are confident, and there might be projected. Well, they're Americans, they're favorites, and all the talk. Have you guys had people approach you, and what do you think the vibe is when people approach you?
Yeah, it's one of those things, and this is why I said they don't all hate me. A lot of them that approached me have been really pretty sweet and endearing, actually. I really haven't had any bad interactions with anybody since I've been here, and I'm usually a pretty polite guy and reasonable. I don't think. Yeah, I don't know. I think they might be surprised, actually. I think some of them are.
I think that's more what it is I don't think they would be like, you're going to have nothing but people nice to you, that's for sure. But whether or not they're like surprised, like, oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, like this guy's okay. Yeah, we've probably had that happen a few times now.
How about yourself, Bob? Are people, or even just like people's reaction, you're like, oh my God, there he is.
I've met people are nice. They probably know what to expect of me because I put my personality out there on YouTube, so you can read my vibe. But everybody that's come up to me has been very, very nice. So many countries. We got Japan. We got New Zealand. Yeah, we got a lot of people like that came up to me so far, and they were nice. Very nice.
It's pretty cool. That's one of the biggest things about IPF Worlds. I mean, when you're at the Nationals, and you guys previously for a long time were just lifting domestically, you were in South Korea, but when you come to the World Championships, and it's all of these nations, the entire powerlifting community, even people who aren't lifting, are showing up to watch the Worlds nowadays. People will get hotels, fly out and be like, I'm not missing Worlds, thank you very much. I'm not lifting, but I want to be a part of it. It's got to that point. It's in it's the only event besides Sheffield, those two events that people from all over the world can show up and see everybody. That's,
Yeah.
you know,
It's cool.
it is. And I don't know, have you guys been able to appreciate that yet? Or I guess you still have to compete, so the job isn't over. But do you plan on sticking around? Are you going to be at the banquet or?
I'm dipping immediately, but I will say I do appreciate like the gathering, because it's like I'm not even that much of a wholesome ass person like that, but it was like wholesome to see every single country gathered. I saw Germans when I got in, like immediately when I flew in, and I was like, yo, congrats, whatever, blah blah blah. Dapping up Indy and some 93s. We're different countries and we're chilling in a lounge lifting weights. That is insane.
Yeah.
Talking about experiences, that is insane.
Yeah. I know when I come down for like breakfast, you look around and there's like people from like 15 different countries at 15 different tables. You're like, holy smokes.
Yeah.
It's great. You hear all these different languages and it's like, whoa, and we're all here for the same reason. How about yourself, Ash? It's been a hot minute. You've been at an international event with all these different nations.
Oh, I love it, man. It's awesome. Just seeing that this what I for many years considered a very humble sport. You know how so many people from every corner of the world really participate in it, and they all gather, in one place in one moment to do the damn thing, and it's amazing to see. I love it.
And forever, my friend, I've been saying, we got to get Ash over here. For years, I've been saying that. And when you come on the podcast, I'm like, I have a dream that you have USA across the chest and you're at IPF Worlds. And the fact you're here, man, I'm super excited to see you perform on the platform. Coming in, so let's talk a little bit about the prep and whatnot. How's the body weight? How are you feeling? The flight, time zone change. A lot of this was some conversation. You've been in South Korea, had the battle of your life. You're not new to this. Some people need reminded of that fact. But how is everything?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's pretty good. I feel the healthiest I've been since September, against Bob and Keenan. So that's, a blessing in and of itself. The travel wasn't actually too bad for us. Kind of enjoyed it, actually. It wasn't terrible. Coming in, the food has been good. The city here, the weather is great. The city's beautiful. Everyone's been very kind to us. And in terms of, prep and just lifting, kind of going along with the healthy comment, training has actually been going pretty good for the most part too. One or two blunders, I think, like with everyone else, but other than that, it's been pretty solid. So I'm fairly confident that I can put up something reasonable tomorrow and, do what has to be done.
Everybody that comes to me and mentions you is like, damn, Ash is a unit, huh? They can't get over how thick you are when they see you in real life. It's one thing to see you online. Do you have a cut ahead of you, or are you very comfortably in the 105s?
Oh, no, I'm pretty comfortably, to address the body weight part of your question. No, I'm pretty comfortable. Like, I flew in the next day, I have 2 meals a day while I'm here. I weighed in, I was right at 105. So it's been pretty easy. Now, I could gain weight very easily, but I'm actually thinking about going the other direction at some point.
We'll put a pin in that. I'm going to ask you fellas about the future in a second. How about yourself, Bob?
Training has been amazing. The strongest I ever been on every single lift. I could not complain. Literally. Getting here, easy, very efficient. It was like a 9-hour travel, but once again, very efficient.
Oh, because you were in New York, yeah.
Yeah.
Lucky.
Yeah. And I belong in Europe because jet lag, what is jet lag? Like, I train at crazy times. So this was nothing. Adapting, I woke up beautifully, slept with a smile on my face, all that. Like, this was amazing. And I love this time zone. I prefer this time zone. It feels great. Obviously, I haven't lifted yet, so I don't know if my body feels good, but I feel good. So, yeah, I'm amazing.
How about that body weight? That's been a discussion. I know at one point you're trying to eat your way up, and you're never going to fill it. Well, not, I shouldn't say never going to. Who knows in the future? But you're not going to fill at 120s. But at PA Nats, you were surprisingly low to yourself. You were like, wow, I couldn't believe. I'm not sure. How's the body weight right now?
So it's similar to PA Nats. However, me still milking bench PRs is telling me, yo, keep doing what you're doing. I'm still attacking it the slow way. A lot of people think I'm not doing 120. I am going to end up doing 120. Sheffield's might be a different story. It's 50-50 as far as Sheffield's. But long term, I'm 120. I have massive goals of strength. Squat and bench is really why I want to be a 120. But yeah, I'm looking to get as strong as I possibly can. So the way I do it is I look at it as body weight PRs and milking out strength at every body weight. Every pound I go up. That's how you do it. That's the best way to bulk. And it just so happens that I'm strong enough to compete with the 120s right now. And that's literally it.
It is a true David versus Goliath, plural, matchup. I mean, who isn't intrigued by something like that? We see people oftentimes right now, and Eric Helms, who's got a PhD, brilliant, was on the podcast talking about in the future as we get more and more competitive, you will see like in other sports, Olympic wrestling, etc., UFC, people doing the cuts, right? And whether it's Agatha Shitko, Evie Corrigan, Tim Matagati, it's going to get in Alexander, it's going to get more and more common to see this. And more and more rare. As a matter of fact, even in recent years, very difficult for me to think about, you are for sure a 105. And you are going to swing with the big boys like, you know what? Let's do this.
I started out as a 93. I didn't even, you think I was looking into the future saying, I'm going to be a 105. No, I thought I was going to be a 193 for a long time. And then I did nationals and I was like, yo, everybody's way thicker than me and compact.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, I remember, and I even, yeah.
What did I say to you?
Yeah, I asked him for bulking advice, like literally, and then he was like, just do it slowly. You know, you're definitely a 105, a natural 105. And then I took that, and then I started studying Ashton clips, and I tried to catch up to Ashton. Yeah, I'll never forget it.
Those are good times.
Yeah.
And so I'm interested in the storyline there because it's very rare in terms of these David versus the Goliath matchups. Usually, David is the underdog. But are you do you think you're the favorite or the underdog?
No, I'm not the underdog. That would be wild to say that. I think I am the favorite because the 120s they're getting a lot more talent now. But I'm the favorite just because of the circumstance I'm put in. Yeah. I'm not. Rondell is the 120. He is the outlier of the 120s, just as an Ashton or I am an outlier at the 105 spot. So us as an outlier, you just put me in a weight class full of people with, you know, elite genetics, but not outlier-ish genetics, then that person will be the favorite going up. Yeah.
It's weird. Okay. So I was saying that Jurens was the underdog and had an upset victory. And people were telling me, and multiple people, DMs the whole nine, that he was the underdog, but it wasn't an upset, which doesn't make sense. In sports, if you are the odds-on underdog, it doesn't matter if it's great or small. If it's tight, but you're the underdog, if you win, you upset the odds.
No, that was an upset victory.
Of course, it's crazy.
Wait, he said it wasn't an upset?
People are saying, it's like, we can't rewrite history as though Jurens was the favorite, Russ was the underdog, and if Jurens wins, he was supposed to. Listen, you could say, I think Jurens is going to win and he's going to upset the odds. That's fine. And you could say, I know a lot of people who do, or he has an opportunity to. But you can't, 91%, you can't change the fact that Russ was the favorite, and if the underdog wins, that's an upset.
Yeah, that was an upset victory, 100%. I think we all agree probably on that.
Who do you think is the upset for the 93s?
Carlos. If Carlos
that would be an upset.
If Carlos wins it, 100%.
Yeah.
Because he's by far the least established, I think, just competitively. And I know that Petrie's technically never done an IPF meet, but he's been competing for so many years, man. I mean, even me and Petrie, we go back. And but yeah, if like Carlos just shows up, other dudes start making mistakes because they're trying to push each other, and then he just wins it. Can you imagine?
He's strong. He's strong.
Yeah, he's very strong. You cannot overlook that guy. He's a very strong.
The emergence, that was a really good question, by the way. The emergence of Carlos. Well, here's one more thing to make it more. Travel and all the rest of it, when it's international, there is repercussions at times. And Russ talked about it. He's like, look, my flight got delayed, and you never tell yourself when you're booking, well, my flight will probably get delayed. And he ended up getting here later than he wanted. And he's like, looking back, I became a little too lackadaisical. Why didn't I just book out in case? And sometimes you just forget, like, look at their intangibles, the unforeseen. Carlos is actually going to show up the day of, we think around 7 hours before weigh-ins. And it's because, you know, in terms of you coming from a nation, sometimes there's visa issues, etc. To fly, look at flight and everything, one thing. Sometimes you handle it like a champ. Sometimes your body just is going to be like, you're not going to have a great day, but whatever. Day of, he's going to land in the plane, drop his luggage off, and then my man's got to be at the venue and weigh in. So if he pulls this off, yeah, these are some intangibles, aren't they?
That'd be crazy. Oh my God. Yeah, that'd be crazy. It's happening just now.
like as comfortable as you were with the time zone and the travel and whatnot, can you imagine, like, you land in the plane?
Yeah.
All right, you're lifting right now. You're lifting later today. That's wild.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
He just landed.
Yeah, he's going to land today, and he's going to lift tonight.
Yeah. Wow. I would do it. I just...
Yeah. You won't back down, but it's not preferable.
I just won't be happy. Yeah.
The emergence of Carlos as well, as a lifter, he just a year ago coming into the IPF Worlds a year ago, I remember him pulling me aside, and he had a decent total, and he made it to Sheffield, and people were kind of like, well, is this a burned invite? You know, you're kind of like, okay, he's representing his region, and Carlos telling me last year at Worlds, he's like, I'm not just a also ran. I'm not just I'm showing up, and people are like, well, okay, a regional representation guy. He's like, you guys are gonna see. And when he said, like, even his Road to Sheffield video, which SBD crushes in terms of leading it to Sheffield, some of the content, and I can't wait to see, you know, if you guys make it that far. I'm showing respect to all you guys are favorites, but I can't wait to see what happens and what SBD does with all that. But when he did his video and was like, the pie has already been baked, I'm here to take my piece.
Yeah.
Because he felt like he wasn't before. And the emergence of a guy like Carlos, and then what he did at Sheffield. And then you see, you know, I was reposting some of the stuff he had been putting out there leading into this world's prep. He's a live underdog.
He is, and I love the guy. I love watching him.
I love the way he carries himself.
He's awesome. And I mean, people don't realize, like, how, in my opinion, the 93s are not quite where they should be in terms of, like, total and strength. I think one of the reasons for that is because of the fierce competition. Because I understand, like Bob understands, that if you're directly competing with people where there's a scenario where any of you could win, it's going to artificially a lot of times drop the totals because people are going to miss attempts and you're just trying to win at that point, not necessarily PR or hit crazy numbers, which is exactly what happened with us a few months ago, right? And probably before then too. And with the 93s, I think that's just been happening a lot, so it's very hard to push that total. But I mean, people don't realize, like, just a few years ago, if Carlos had emerged on the scene any earlier, like, this guy could have been a champ, like, you know, 2-3 times over. Like, I don't think people understand, like, how deep he already is in the class with how new he is to the scene. So I think he's incredibly impressive.
It's the reason why the World Championships can have guys like Carlos emerge, because when your talent pool isn't just one nation but the entire world, someone can pop up from somewhere. And yeah, you might not see him coming because he's coming from a nation that doesn't have a massive social media and whatnot. But when the net you're casting to collect stars is the entire world. I gotta tell you, Ash, you showed up in South Korea and found out, like, who the fuck is that guy? And Keaton Lee's staring at you like a dog. And you're like, all right, this is no exhibition lifting. I'm in the middle of a fight, and this is what happens.
That was crazy.
It was the wildest. That's one dude I hope ends up in the IPF.
Yes. I do too. I think there's a pretty high probability that he will, actually.
Yeah. I mean,
That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
105 Keenan?
Yeah.
105 Keenan.
Crazy.
Or does he go 105? What's the deal with Keenan? Could he make 105 or does he just go 120 as a small 120?
No way he goes 120.
He can't go 120.
No way.
Okay. Oh, well, Rondell's coming. Etienne is getting old. Etienne, to your point, you mentioned him earlier, we got to give him his roses. He's a junior.
Yeah.
He's just getting started, and I know you fellas probably seen some of his lifts. Actually, let me ask you, because you weren't posting a lot. Are you keeping your cards? But you said training's been going very well.
Yeah.
is it keeping your cards close to your chest? So it's because ETN did as well. Tony's been showing some stuff, but he's a wily veteran. You never know if he's showing everything, maybe. But are you keeping your cards close to your chest, or?
Well, no, I post on YouTube, but I just.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, I just had nothing to post on Instagram because I don't like posting single lifts. I like posting totals. So, I did fail a lift that fucked the total. So I was like, yeah, I don't have a post. So, and I failed the lift it was reps. I hate reps. I haven't had singles since prepping for Ash. Yeah. So if I had singles, I would have done 1,000 easily in training.
Honestly, I think it's better to train that way though, in the long, especially at the weights we're lifting. I think it's better.
Yeah, maybe. See, I don't know. I don't know. For me, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're kind of overzealous sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I ain't mad. I love to see it.
I get it. I mean, I get it for sure. It's often like that before too, but now I don't.
I will never stop. I'll never change that. I'll always be overzealous in training.
There's nothing wrong with that. It served you well at this point.
It's like Penna, who said, I need to enjoy what I'm doing and feel motivated. We do the same thing every freaking day. So for some people, he's like, if I don't enjoy it, what am I doing here? You know what I mean? And
I will say, we got to get smarter as we age. I'll be a little smarter, with what I'm doing in training. But for the most part, I can't change that. The intensity stays for sure.
It's who you are, man. You can't change. That's like me asking you to change who you are. You can't do that.
But it actually gets me stronger. Actually, bench is insane. Squat, every lift is insane. So it actually helps me a lot.
What do you guys say towards those who have? There's another storyline that the USAPL lifters are going to get burned when it comes to IPF level officiating, and they would point to Russ having missed one of his squats. And what would you guys say to that individually? I'll throw it to you first, Ash.
I don't know. I mean, if we look at Perkins, I mean, didn't he get 27 white lights?
That's a fact.
Yeah, he got 27 white lights, and then our 59, lost. He also killed it. I mean, it really just boils down to how the individual trains. I mean, we have people that compete in the United States that surely aren't the tippy top level, but their training is immaculate, and they compete to an immaculate standard. It's not like everyone in the U.S. just kind of lifts sloppy, and then we go to Worlds and we all just suck because we train sloppy. I mean, I think a good number of us actually train to a pretty high standard. I know, for myself, for Bob, for Petrie, and no one ever has a perfect day or a perfect meet every time. But I mean, I think all train to a pretty high standard. So, I mean, am I personally worried about the officiating, like for myself or for my teammates? Not really. Not if we do what we're supposed to do or what we usually do.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to. Does this at all impact? Maybe we take it a stitch later on squats, or is it like no? I'm not changing. We're sticking to the plan.
Right. So, well, with the squats, I mean, I tend to actually compete a little bit conservatively with squats anyway. Like, it's very rare that I do a meet where I put in a number where I think it's my absolute limit. I'm going to max out the tank because I don't like to do that before deadlifts. So usually after third squats, I'll still have some left over anyway. So that's pretty much the same strategy. And I mean, for this one, I'm mostly going based off of training, and then I'm also factoring in, the officiating here as well. Like, I know it's strict, but these are numbers that I've, hit at undeniable, depths to an undeniable standard. So, as far as that goes, that's pretty much going to be consistent.
How about yourself, Bob?
Relative to me, I have never a worry about a standard. I squat to depth. I hit bench depth, bench pauses, locked out deadlifts, no soft knees. I have no worry at all. Maybe you never know if the judges are going to be a little picky, but still, relative to me, I don't have a worry. As far as what I think for other lifters in America specifically, maybe they have to worry just a tad bit. Let's say if they're just squatting 2 parallel or just barely below parallel, maybe they got to worry. But I think that's everybody. That's everybody. I could point out many internationals that have to lock in on technique.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I was going to also say is, I mean, it also depends on who's in the judges' seats, who is, jury. I'm going to go ahead and just address the elephant in the room. Is there a bias towards certain lifters sometimes? There probably
or
is.
against.
Against, and they're probably going to watch you closely. Yeah, so you're smart. I'm just gonna straight up say it. Like, I'm pretty sure there is. And if we're in the judges' seat, right? Yeah. And we see, Petrie lifting, and then we see
use Jerns and Russ as an example, because
we might have reacted in a different way to those lifts than people from other parts of the world, just because of even the slightest bias, which we all do have. I mean, we can't say that we don't have any. So I'm not saying anything against the judges, jury, officiators. It's not even like that. But if you're from a certain part of the world and you see your boy up there, someone who could be your brother or your son, and they're competing with the best of the world, you're going to want to give them the best chance possible. I mean, that's human nature, right?
Yeah.
And their job is to be, unbiased and impartial, but we can all only do that so much.
Yeah, it's like asking a parent, do you have a favorite child? Don't lie.
Oh, Jesus.
And you put them on a lie detector test.
Who asked that question?
I believe
they ask it a lot.
I believe humans have bias. All humans have bias, no matter what. Yeah. So you got this couple. They have 5 kids. You gotta have a favorite. You can't lie. You favor one of these children.
You do have one that you like more than the others. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that the bias is so egregiously bad against Americans that if you make any little slip up, they're just going to be on you like a hawk. But I don't know. Maybe there is a little bit something there.
I haven't seen a bias yet, but I have seen at times an active jury. But they seem to have slowed down a bit as we've gotten on. We're only halfway through. I don't want to speak to, but no crazy controversies yet.
Right? Yeah, I would agree.
Nothing egregious.
No, I mean there's going to be calls that could go either way, but that's kind of the way she goes.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel that you guys are together in terms of team craft? How much does it mean to be like, okay, I'm here with?
Nah, it feels good. It feels good. Yeah, it feels very good. Oh, it always has been.
Yeah.
I would say it's comforting to see Ashton. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even when we're competing against each other, and it's not always so comfortable. it's just still great to be there. With your boys.
I would say that.
It's a little bit easier, and if it's kind of like Inaharo endurance. They're like, look, if I'm going to lose to somebody, it's going to be you. And for them anyways, they're in the warm-up rooms, they're talking. Afterwards, Inaharo will congratulate Jerns. Jerns will congratulate Inaharo. They both beaten each other for the European title, and obviously Jerns won the title. And then some people, like Penna, Russ, etc., they go in there and they're like, man, I lock in. Afterwards, Russ will meet right at the platform, congratulate, hang out, do the podcast, all roses. But while they're in the warm-up room, 100% business, 100% business. And I'm wondering, how are you guys in the warm-up room, because you're not going to be against each other where it is friendly, because you guys are obviously friendly. Mm-hmm. Because it's going to be Anatoly. For you, it's going to be Tony Cliff, ETN. And Tony Cliff, while super-duper nice guy off, and you'll be able to hang out with him, in there, I've seen him in the warm-up room. He's intense. He's intense. He's not like some people do. They lock in the key, and they need that. How are you guys? What are you guys anticipating when you get into that warm-up room?
Firstly, I do want to say we can't leave out Jonah, because Jonah is
from Germany.
Monster.
Yeah, he's a monster too.
The man could bench a 570 bench if he wanted, and he could squat. He looked like he could squat 8. I just saw his last warm-up that he just posted. He's strong, so I definitely got to mention him. I'll say I'm good vibes. I'm not the guy that's right there, or I'm not. It's just lifting. Your stare, if you're staring me down, that's not gonna affect how I approach the bar at all. That is crazy to me for people to think that affects me. I remember Keenan I was looking at Keenan like with good vibes. He probably was on a demon type of timing, but some people are like that. Some people aren't. I'm just what's good? I could say what's good right before a squat.
Oh, wow. To the guy you're going against.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm not.
We were doing it.
You're not. Yeah. Yeah, I would say it's easier.
Look intense, but I mean, I'm usually pretty okay once you talk to me.
Yeah, exactly. Every attempt, matter of fact, good shit, blah, 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 good shit. Every time. I remember we even talked right before deadlifts, with him telling me he's going to go sumo. I was like, really? Yeah, so it can be great vibes, because I'm still a demon when I'm at that bar, basically. Right. And that can't change. That can't change at all. So yeah.
And will it matter to you what the rest of the room is like, because it's IPF Worlds? Do you think it's going to feel a little bit different? Is it already feeling different for you guys?
I think it'll feel different because I think the internationals they probably have a different vibe. They probably have a more serious vibe. I think so, especially them probably looking at me as the favorite and probably being talked about more. They'll probably look at me with some malicious intent.
It's going to be different for you.
Yeah, I would say that. But yeah, that's not fazing me, and I'm not gonna be the guy that's trying to impose my will. No, I'm gonna be I'm going to be watching Tony squat in the warm-up room, going to be watching Etienne's deadlift as he's warming up. I'm like, yeah, he's looking strong. Yeah, regular.
How about you, Ash?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm pretty similar, you know, like if people need stuff too, and we're back there, or I notice that someone's like hurting or something, I'll usually go over and help out, not total jerk.
You be chalking or powdering Anatoli's legs?
If he needs it.
What? That's wild.
Yeah.
That's
You don't
wild.
powder your opponent's legs?
Yeah, he can get me, I'll get it, it's fine.
That might actually work.
That's
He's Eastern
funny.
European. He won't be comfortable with you. I'm just trying to help you out.
Yeah, I'll just walk over, I won't even let him
That's
talk. I'll just start doing
right.
it. Maybe I should
Sneak
do
some
that.
on his hands.
Nobody tell him I'm going to do that to him.
Oh my gosh.
Just
fucking
throw him way
done.
off.
That's the wildest.
No, but
funny.
in all seriousness, though, I mean, no, just we're all there to compete and have a good time. Now, the moment that like I said, that I lift and stuff like that, there's the switch. I turn it on, and I get aggressive, and then you turn it back off, man.
Yeah. I also have a lot of practice, I would say, getting distracted. I have a lot of practice getting distracted at my gym because I lift the heaviest by far. It's by far. And
Most gyms probably.
yeah, probably. When I say by far, like, it's crazy. But after I out of my zone, it's like people like, yo, blah, 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 or asking me questions about their training, or, we're having a conversation, and it's like a quick back to reality, like quick back check to reality. So,
Yeah, no doubt.
So looking at the World Championships, and we'll see how it all unfolds, and everybody's super excited for this. So just for hypotheticals, for the point of conversation, if we're moving forward on this, and let's just say for the point of conversation, you guys end up going to Sheffield, however which way, wild card or winning outright, etc. What does that look like? Because the conversation obviously has been, for both you individuals, you might not be competing in the exact same weight class that you're competing here. And in both situations, the 93s is the craziest division of all time. You joining that would be insane, and I think people will go nuts. And then for yourself, you're clearly not a 120. You're literally a hot shower away from 105. If not for Sheffield, or are you?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
People don't understand. Yeah.
Okay, so for Sheffield or even beyond, let's talk about even beyond. What does the future look like?
Well, for me, I'm not cutting anything physically. Like, I'm not gonna cut calories at all. Everything stays the same. Milking every body weight going up. It just so happens that that's an easy ass cut to 105. So depending on how everything plays out, if I'm trying to be a tactician going into Sheffield's, how do you win number one? How do you win Sheffield's? If it happens to be 105 and the world record is less than 950 kilos, use your heads, people.
Right.
If you have a capability of doing 980, 990 on any day, why would you not do that at 105? Come on, right? At the same time, let's say if my body weight has a spike, right? And I'm like 110, 112 or whatever, 120. And I'm strong, like I'm capable of like 10, something.
You're probably
strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? So it's so 50-50. There's a lot of time. Yeah. And I got to make Sheffield's first too. So
Yeah, this was hypothetical for the sake of conversation. But, I mean, obviously you also have to make World Games, but that's another conversation where, you would qualify as a 120, but you could be a small 120, bolt the hell into it. How interesting will China be with all of us there? But
it's China.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
China.
Damn, I got to go. Yeah, I wanted to go to Asia for
Yeah.
sure.
Ash, the same thing he said about why not go 105 if I could carry that total. you probably are also doing the math. What if I carried my total to the 93? Holy smokes, would that do some damage? If the 93 is artificially low, like you said, and you're like, we need an outlier in the 93, might you be the outlier in the 93?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I kind of wish, I wish that we had like a 95 or 100 instead of 93.
That's a fact.
93 is okay. I definitely will never go below that. My fiance and I agreed that I won't go below 200 pounds. It's too small.
Right.
So we'll stay there. I mean, I'd probably get down to like 210 to 212.
Wait, are you really, you're considering it?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I did
Yeah.
not. I'll say.
Dude, in my job, it'd be great to be that weight. You know how fast and yeah.
I have scouting reports on every single lifter, but you at 93, I'd be lost as far as.
Would I be able to do?
How
Yeah,
excited?
I think in a good way. Like I think you'd be crazy.
I think I would be really good too because if I look in history, if I look at the past, so I was already hitting well into the 1900s, like as a kid. Weighing 200, 205, 203, 206. I did my first 900 total. I was still a junior. I was in Texas. I weighed 207, I think.
Wait.
And I was a kid, and I was on a Texas. I was squatting on the Texas power bar. The thinner one.
So why not just push the 105? You got to be strategic. Why not push the 105 as hard as you can?
I don't know how much longer I'll be doing, powerlifting.
And
That's the big thing.
So you could, let's say if I choose 105, right?
Yeah.
You can make it harder for me.
I could.
If you know you're doing 93. Though.
but he's thinking, take that total as a 93 and imagine the percentage of the world record he break. Kind of like you're doing about the taking 120.
Yeah.
He's thinking, well, why don't I do that to the 93s? Because the 93 record right now is 895. You take Ash's, what's your biggest total you've done?
968 at nationals.
Okay, so 895, 968. Now let's shave off a little bit after you.
Go like 930.
It could be crazy. You do the math,
could do
like
that.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like I know the head to head, but the head to head in a different way. I don't know. It's intriguing.
And even when I had that crazy run up during that COVID time period, when I was my first 950 total, I was much healthier then and had a little more time to train. I weighed like 215.
Yeah, you're 97.
That's there.
So it's not like
It's right
a far
there.
cry. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a water cut, maybe a little bit less. And people talk about, well, you both have said the 93s should be the total that you're mentioning.
Yeah,
and
like that 920 to 930 range is where it really needs to be. Yeah.
It'd be interesting. We got to see. And then obviously I had Joanna on the podcast. We were talking about it, and who knows how? The American Nationals, how that's going to all unfold. Maybe that we have too many possibilities about this, but the 93s from the American Nationals to the Internationals what is the hottest weight class right now in powerlifting?
Wow. Give me 2 seconds.
I know, because 66s, we just had a podium of all the same total
Yeah,
and
which is
body weight. And you know how many Americans are there and going to be. Daniel Clements had to pull out due to injury, but he's going to return. And then,
Wow.
And then, of course, there are some weight classes that are somewhat slept on, but are sneaky intriguing.
I will say the 93s. We got to look at Gavin. He's not even here. Chance. Where is he? And Keiko, is he coming back? Yeah. We have to say it is 93. It's the wisest answer.
If Ash drops, Juwan comes over.
And Juwan, come on. Yeah, it's the wisest
Russ
answer.
goes up.
93.
I'm never living that down.
So the one thing is, Russ was thinking about going up after what just happened.
yeah,
He's
now
not
he's
going
gonna
up like
have
this. Yeah. But he did say eventually he's going to go up. It'd be too stacked. It'd be crazy. You could come in 7th at nationals and you're a superstar.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Would you? There's no way you're ever getting back to 93 though.
I saw Gustav.
Dog.
I don't know how.
Yeah, we were looking at him.
I don't know how. He might be taller than me. He might be taller.
He's a tall dude. Yeah. I know. It's like how are you?
I can't. I think it's just bone mass. I cannot. I'll be dry like a skeleton. So it's got to be the bone mass. I cannot be a 93.
Yeah. At 93, I don't have any body fat at 93. It's just gone. I can't. I literally I don't think I can go lower than that anymore.
I can't wait to see what this looks like. You're gonna look like a total freak because you are jacked as shit. You as a 93 is gonna be insane.
Nah, if you actually goes 93, that's
I'm slow talking him into it.
If I do it, yeah, I'll probably
Wow.
sit around like 210 to 215-ish most of the time, which I look really good at that way. And then 205, I look like a monster.
I'll pay attention to your abs in training.
That's right.
That's
You're
how I
my
know.
man.
Oh yeah, you'll know.
That's how I know. I'll pay attention to the abs.
Yeah. Who else are you guys looking forward to? What's your expectations? Let me get this actually about the battle of the 69s between Krolagara Leah or Carlina Tongatea versus Agatha Shiko, who's Sheffield world champ, moving up a weight class, or she's doing a bit of a David versus Goliath herself because she
Yeah.
cut.
She's a 69, right?
69. Now, she was a 76 before, but with what she did at 69, it's like, why wouldn't you go into Worlds, collect a world title at 69? And she says, I beat those girls head up. I did not beat Carlina. She's got one on me. I can't avoid that. I need to right that wrong. What do you think about that?
I got Agatha, man. Agatha all day. She's my favorite female lifter. She has all 3 lifts in the bag. Whatever weight class she goes, I have her.
And one thing I do like, Carlina, who's a 2-time world champion now, when Agatha won Sheffield and right afterwards said what she said, which hats off, like Agatha's a lion. Carlina's a lion as well, and said, come up and get some. She's not backing down, which I love. The attitude on these ladies, women's powerlifting is hot right now. You know, the showdowns we have, and we're one of the sports that the men's and women's side are both super stacked, and men will watch the women's side, women will watch the men's side. But what do you think about that?
No, I fully concur with Bob.
Oh, okay.
Agatha?
My money's on her every time. I mean, she's a phenomenal lifter, and she's so well rounded too. It's just really hard to beat someone who's so well rounded. I mean, it's not impossible. It's just hard. Like, if they're a really good deadlifter, to me, it's like cool, but I don't think you'll get first if you don't have the best squat and bench, right?
Yeah.
Like if it's not enough, at this level. But she's just kind of good at all of them. So.
Yeah. I even DM'd her saying, yo, we're very alike.
Oh, really? No,
Yeah.
you and Agatha, yeah?
Yeah, like a year ago, before she won Sheffield's, I called it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You guys look a little alike. No.
I'm just good.
Yeah, Agatha, when you meet her, is like super nice. Yeah, she's awesome. I'm glad she's here. She's emerged so quickly. Like from that, she was like 19 or barely 20 when she went toe-to-toe with Jessica Bittner and lost on either body weight or like half a kilo, can't remember. It was like 585 anyways. And she was cheering for Jess as Jess was pulling the biggest deadlift in IPF history to clinch it. And then afterwards, I'm pretty sure they asked Agatha, why were you cheering? And I don't want to misquote, but I remember hearing she was like, because that's going to be the last one for her if I keep going. And I'm like, oh, what a gangster. What a gangster.
I didn't know she said that.
Yeah, she's a gangster. Yeah, and how about Jesus Oliveira versus Timur? Let me tell you something. Jesus is Jesus. He's the strongest powerlifter that ever lived. But Timur coming out of Georgia, I don't know if you guys have seen. I reposted a couple
I've
times.
seen him, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's getting sneaky strong, and at 21, 22, if you look at the numbers he's got, you could foresee Jesus is 26. You see a pathway where Jesus' top end, he's going to continue, but the rate at which Timur, could they possibly level off, meet, and this turns into some big showdowns in the future?
His name is Timur.
Is it, so he's from Georgia. It's spelled T-E-M-U-R,
Okay,
but
I
how
know
it's
him.
pronounced, I don't know.
I don't think he can.
Call him
I'm
Big
not
T.
going to lie. He maybe,
T.
but Jesus is too strong. The bench as well. Like, unless the variables come into play.
Yeah.
The calls, like, does Jesus bobble at the top
Well,
of the
he
bench?
can't make mistakes. That's
Yeah.
the thing. He can't make mistakes. I think just strength-wise, Jesus will be stronger.
Yeah.
But in terms of just like competitively, he can't make mistakes with that kid. Kind of the way he's progressing. It
Right.
wouldn't be good. It wouldn't augur well for him to make mistakes.
Yeah.
But with that said, Jesus is obviously still the much stronger lifter, but just has to perform, and he's performed. So I no reason that I don't think he does this time too. But in the future, in 3 or 5, 3 years, 4 years from now, and I'm not sure how much longer, Jesus even intends to continue competing too. But I mean, it's a possibility. Now, I don't think he would pass him. I don't think he would pass him.
Yeah, strength-wise,
But,
I don't know.
No, but if mistakes open up, it could be, like a Jordan's Russ kind of story.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult because people emerge. And people, like look at for 21 or 2, I don't know if he's 22 yet, Timur is crushing some. Like, he squatted 421. Mm-hmm. He's deadlifting 405, 410. And he benched, and you're right, Jesus' bench is crazy. Yeah. But he benched 255 and I believe 260. So he's super duper young.
He is. He's great. I will say, though, another factor, and this might sound a little silly, I think Jesus is honestly also the better built, like, super heavyweight. Just looking at him, like, structurally, he looks like he could probably carry the weight better than Timur can. Like, he's getting strong fast, yes, but with his build, I'm not sure how much more weight he could gain and how much stronger he could get, up to, a certain point. I'm not sure if he'll level off somewhere, but I don't think he can carry as much.
Because how is he
going
to add to the bench?
Yeah.
How is he going to add to the bench? It would be my question.
I don't think he has like the enough musculature or bone structure to actually pass his strength.
Or possibly not yet, because he is a little younger. But
that is true.
He's still a boy, yeah. So
when I was walking through the halls with Jesus, and Jesus was ahead of me, it is like crazy looking at his back. When you see him in real life, that's a guy I like to take a man in with my eyes. And when he looks, it's insane. And I talked about when I had Jesus on the podcast, how they did a study, and Ray Williams at one point they deemed was the most muscular man walking the world. The amount of muscle mass that was hanging off.
Man. Like, if you go to Georgia or like Tennessee or somewhere in the South, you actually see a few guys that look kind of like that. Like,
what?
Somebody told me that.
They're not. No,
somebody at my gym told me that.
Most of my life, there are some dudes that look like that out there in America.
Shout out to Anatoly.
They're the only ones. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So I would say it is an interesting note, though. They are built a little bit differently, and I think Timur honestly looks a little more like an Olympic weightlifter with the way he's built.
I would agree. Yeah.
Is that right? But we'll see. Mm-hmm. I mean, because it's still young days for him.
No, I love watching him too. He's an impressive guy.
Yeah. I hope for both of their sake, including Jesus's, Timur develops and we have a clash at the super heavyweights because, it'd be fantastic to see Jesus finally get
Yeah, I want to see
get
that.
someone in there. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah,
right. I know he would love it too.
He welcomes it. To win and win and win with no one chasing you is a little different. I'm gonna tell you.
Or this is a very long shot of a prediction, but Nonzo, low key, if he grows, if his bones harden, because he's a young boy, he could be a future 120 plus. Trust me, I'll be happy to say I'm the first one to call that if it happens. He's tall too. Like, I can see it on video.
He could put on a lot more weight than 120.
Yeah, absolutely. He's already filled out.
More. Yeah,
and he's young. He's a baby.
He's a boy. Yeah,
he's a baby.
A teenager.
Yeah, he's a boy.
So once you hit 22 and them bones harden, it's gonna be hard to,
For how strong he is, like, he doesn't even look like as strong as he is, right? Like, and I think part of that has to do with his age.
Nah, he kind of looks. His muscles can mature.
Like, when he gets older, he's gonna look a lot
insane,
bigger. Yeah.
So watch. I could see something
him being like
crazy.
300 pounds and just a monster. Yeah.
Can you imagine at 300 pounds he wins?
Yeah.
Because most of these we're used to 400 pounders.
Okay, that'd be crazy.
It depends on who's in the class, right? Cause,
yeah.
I mean, there have been years where my best total would have won super heavyweight.
Holy shit.
Because
when I was, were like 950. Like, there were years where that happened.
If he's going against Jesus, obviously, he gotta.
Yeah. I'm
do
saying
some crazy
theoretically
shit.
though, like if there are certain years where like there's not a Jesus or there's not a
Timur,
like it opens up the field a lot because there's usually only one guy that's really doing that kind of stuff, and then everyone else is kind of like that 900 to 940, 950-ish range. But this year I think will be a little bit better because I think guys are starting to kind of stack up again. But yeah, he could.
As the years go, it's getting harder and harder. I remember meeting Nonzo. It was Junior Worlds 2022. It's me and Gavin doing the commentary, and we were trying to get into the gym to do some working out. And he was there, and he was 17 years old. Didn't know he didn't know who I was, who Gavin was, nothing. And we were talking to him, and he hopped online. He's just sorting out who's who in powerlifting, what's going on, etc. And he was so much skinnier because he's 17 years old. And 2 years later,
exactly right.
Yeah,
crazy. Puberty.
Like this kid could literally. I'm telling you, he could literally be 300 pounds in like 2 years, and he could just be a monster.
When I first got into sport, I was a $197. I would have never thought I would have.
Yeah.
I would have never
smaller.
thought. Yes. I would have never thought. Yo, you tell me you're gonna be 30 pounds heavier in 3 years? Get the hell out of here. Look at me now.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. And I'm way past puberty. So
Yeah.
you never know where you'll be.
No, I
if you
mean,
listen to your body.
You keep lifting and you just slowly gain. Yeah. That's what I did. I mean, I went from 160 to like at my biggest last summer, I was like near 250. And at my biggest, like I literally went from that as a teenager to that. Yeah.
What happened?
I was in Texas. I was squatting heavy and beering up all the time.
What the fuck?
Beering up. That's
Responsibly. But yeah.
Responsibly.
Yeah. But then I did start cutting back down because I started doing more like exercise and stuff.
Damn.
So, all right, well, let me ask this. Who is the hottest prospect in the sport? Is it Anzo or is there someone else you guys are thinking?
I think it's him.
It's a combination of
There's a few
Nonzo, Joe, if you still consider him up and coming, because he can actually.
Bornstein,
yeah.
I think he's one of the youngest guys that can take the open. Nonzo is going to get there.
That's a good call there.
I think it's harder for Nonzo. To be fair, though, I think in lower weight classes, it's easier to take the open when you're younger than in heavier weight classes. Mine is super heavy.
Oh, is that right?
I think so.
I would agree with that.
120s, I think guys that win are usually older, like Dennis, for example. You
Yeah.
know? Even 105s, like, I mean, most of us, I think, are in our late 20s. I don't think any 19-year-old's going to come in and win 105s.
He has a good point there, too.
Like, it's
Not gonna
unlikely.
lie.
Even 93s, I don't think some 18-year-old kid's going to come
Is that because you need the muscular development and that takes time?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. For super heavyweight, I think it's a little different. I think it is a little more, honestly, just genetic and leverage, just straight up.
You're an
leverage genetic.
outlier. There might not be as thick a field, no pun.
Because most humans can't even carry that much mass anyway, so.
And I feel like 66 to 83 is the youth man's class. Like,
Yeah.
that's the class of
You
the
could be
youth
young, get in there,
and be a
just kill
star.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, up and coming star,
Now,
straight up.
Like, I was good in 93s when I was really young, but I think because back then the class wasn't nearly as developed as it is today. So it was just a different era. But it would have been a lot harder today to get into these classes as a 19, 18, 20-year-old kid and just start winning. Like, it's not going to, I don't think it's going to happen like that for most of these classes.
Yeah.
How difficult do you think it's going to be? Like, I mean, no disrespect to anyone who was winning world titles like 3, 4, 5 years ago. Obviously, without them, we're not here where we are. But it is undeniable what we see happening with world records and the totals we see winning these world titles. It's only getting harder and harder and harder. And how much harder in the future is it going to become to then be a multiple-time world champion, 2-division world champion? Like, do you think it's going to be an oddity?
Yeah, because back then it wasn't actually as odd to see that. Now that I'm thinking, like when I first got into powerlifting, there were some people like, oh yeah, I'm 6-time or 8-time or 5-time or 3-time world champion. Like now, in order to have to do that and to stay on top of the hill, it's a lot more difficult. Especially like in our weight classes, like 105s. It's very difficult to stay healthy and to do that for years on end. For 120, I think it would be difficult. For 93, it's obviously very difficult. 83 now is even changing. We saw that happen.
And even amongst the women, too. Like, Kimberly,
And there's
who just got
probably
into
worse. Like some of their weight classes.
Yeah. It's bad now.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be hard to win back-to-back every year. Kimberly won, like, how many straight?
$1 million.
$1 million. Congrats to her for getting
That's a
inducted.
Yeah. And she's a bad lady, but now it'd be so much harder to do that.
Yeah.
It's so
I can't
much
see a
harder.
76 winning for, what, a decade in a row? Like, that's crazy.
No way in hell.
That's crazy. So it will get harder.
Yeah.
For every single weight class, I would say. Other weight class, faster than most.
So to string together, for you guys, what is more impressive? Stay in a weight class and string together a dynasty, or hit multiple weight classes, multiple world records, and just show diversity like that?
I think, you mind if I?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think it's very hard to say in this era of powerlifting versus the previous. In the previous, the obvious answer would be to win multiple weight classes. Now, I'm still leaning towards winning multiple weight classes, but it's less obvious now. It's a little closer. It's harder to win multiple weight classes, I think, because going down especially, you're going to take potentially some hit, and you're going to be against people that are at their absolute, pinnacle in terms of, this may be the biggest they've ever been in their life. Right. And so you're going in with a clearly, market disadvantage. But if you're just like continually going up weight classes and you just keep getting better and better, then yeah,
And it's also the weight classes are huge difference.
Yeah,
Between 105 to 95, that's 12 kilos.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's the other thing I don't like about the weight class. So that was the one thing I liked about the old weight classes. There was a little more or a little more lateral variety, right? But here it's just kind of like, oh, you're 200 pounds, or you're 230, or you're 265.
That's a big jump.
Or you're, anything else.
Right. Or you're coming in fifth. It's what it is.
Like, can we add like a 220 or a 215 and just kind of, but no.
What do you
I think
Bob?
it's definitely multiple weight classes. You don't see that. Like who can pull that off, right?
Yeah.
It's such a rare feat. Do you chase that though? That's the question.
I mean, would you be motivated to do that? Like for me, like if I'm moving up or down weight classes, it's not because I want to win multiple weight classes. It's because I want to win against certain people usually, or I want to have certain battles and fights. Like 105s, I'm like, or 110 at nationals. I could easily do 100, but
I think IPF would be different. Like it would be definitely. It would weigh more. I can't remember the last time someone's done that.
Well, and because the weight classes are further apart, I think it'd be more impressive to
That's
win
crazy.
more weight classes here, probably versus like an American Federation where there's still more weight classes.
Yeah.
Right? Because it would be a lot easier to go to 100 and still pretty much do almost the same thing that I do now versus going down to 93 and then having to kind of, string together something crazy.
Yeah, like imagine he wins the 105 world title this year, 93 the next year.
Yeah.
That would be
I'm
insane.
sorry,
In 1
but
year?
if you use that as a debate for your GOAT resume,
It's crazy.
bro.
Yeah, that's insane. I don't know anywhere that can do that right now.
Exactly.
You either have to make a crazy cut or swing with Goliath. Like there's no easy route. What do you want? Do you want to cut 12 kilos? Insane. Or do you want to scrap it out with guys who have 12 kilos on?
you don't want-
Insane. Like there's no easy route.
Yeah.
Or do you go to super heavyweight?
Oh Jesus.
Right? Weigh 266 and then just
Not for
go
me
it.
at all. Never. Rondell, yeah, maybe.
Bruh.
Imagine. Oh yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Yeah. I could see.
Let me ask you guys this. Who is the pound for pound king right now in your guys' opinion?
Austin dots. I know dots is but he dots like 600 on his warm ups.
I would say Austin too.
It'd have to be
Yeah.
him.
I would for sure.
What about
say-
Rondell? Let's have that conversation, dog.
Rondell
What about
Rondell would kind of
gonna
have
say
to
that?
like put it like this. Austin don't have to peak for 600 dots at all. Rondell, he's strong as shit, and 600 is probably nothing to him now. But it's gonna beat his body up.
Yeah.
Austin, he can give us 610 dots every other day. Though it is unfair in his play, like
Yeah, like that's
You know.
one so that's one formula, but there's other intangibles. The problem is Rondell hasn't been able to do international events. So if his resume was like he in 2018, he won as a junior the 105 World Championship, out totaled everybody in the Open.
Right.
And Rondell's on the podcast saying the dialogue around me and my career would be so much different if I had won the Open and then never got in the political mess he was in,
Oh my
and had been
God.
collecting titles since 2018. The way people talked about Atwood, they'd be talking about me, is the way he's saying. And he's not wrong, because he would be the favorite to have done it. And then he'd be like, and then I move up from 105 to 120. And what he's done at 120 compared to the previous world record, and it wasn't a guest lifter at USAPL. And he's like, frick, man, I think it's just difficult.
So the thing with Rondell, been a fan of Rondell since he won that 105 junior title, actually. Known a long time. Love the guy to death. He is a phenomenal lifter. The reason why I kind of put Perkins a little bit ahead of him in this conversation is just because, with Rondell, one of the dings I have against him is he was supposed to do a meet. I'll never forget this. He was supposed to do a meet at 242. Yeah, he's laughing because I know what I'm about to say. He physically couldn't compete at it. And I'm still not convinced that if he were a true 231 or 242 that he would be able to beat me at my best. I'm still not convinced of it. Now, at 264, like leverage-wise, height-wise, everything just matches up for him. He's a monster in that weight class. He's literally built for it. Perfect. But like going down a weight class, I don't think he would beat like you or me if we were at our absolute best. I don't think he would win that.
I would say that's a good point as far as pound for pound king, meaning you could win multiple weight classes.
Now, Perkins, I don't know. Like if Perkins did a meet at 66,
he would win.
Or 83.
or
because
83,
he-
he would win. I think he would win.
However, you could also argue the fact that I know smaller guys, every kilo matters even more.
Right.
But those weight classes have a smaller difference.
Here's another thing. Perkins is the lightest man, I think, in history to squat 700 pounds raw in a competition.
He is.
Yeah.
That's, to me, like 700 a squat is also that barrier of if you squat 700 or more, like you're just a strong dude, you know?
I don't think you could put a number on it as far as a lift.
700 on squat, yeah, you could put a number on
Like,
it.
it's impressive, but I don't think you could put
How
a
many
number on
people
it.
in the world, think about it, dude. He's
What
the
about-
lightest guy.
But then you could keep going with
Yeah.
squat 1,000, squat
Yeah, yep.
800. It's difficult to.
No, but I think 700 is the perfect cutoff, though.
I don't think you could put
I know,
a
granted, it's arbitrarily determined. I think a lot of
right,
people would agree that, like, if you squat 700, like, you're pretty strong.
Yeah.
If you see a
But in
700
the
pound squat
conversation,
person, right?
in Rondell, he's going to bench 600. He's going to be,
That's insane.
yeah, and he's going to be one of the lightest to
Granted,
do it
he-
in the full power meet.
What about
I-
deadlifts?
I believe he'll do it, but he has
That
to
too.
still do it, though. He still has to do it. Perkins has done it.
Yeah, but it only takes, that's the reason why we can't say a
granted,
number.
He also hasn't had the opportunity to, so I understand that. I don't think that's fair to him. But I mean, think about it, dude. Like Perkins, you've seen him in dude. He's literally he squatted 700 pounds.
It is crazy when people see him. They're like, some of these 66s look like they're the same size as Perk, and it's like, how the heck is Perk putting up numbers comparable to Russ, Jurins, and all these 83s? That's pretty.
You know,
wild.
you really couldn't put a number on a specific lift, because if you did that, Rondell pulling 9 in comp and benching 6 in
Insane.
comp is more insane than Austin squatting 7.
He's
I think,
just-
yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
a combination of things, though.
Yeah, but he could do it.
I'm just using the example of squat, but I mean, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all opinion. Like you'll never land on, one unanimous. It's this number at this whatever. But
Yeah.
it is an interesting conversation of
Absolutely.
who is the king. We have several people claiming outlier. Actually, it was Rondell who started this whole outlier talk. He came on KOTL and my man dropped some sound bites and everyone's
Yeah.
like, "Who are the outliers?" And somehow, look at, if I'm honest, you dropped the 93, I think you'll change that conversation because we talked about it. And I said, come on the podcast because people aren't saying your name despite the fact I think Worlds can help and Sheffield can help. But I legitimately think you dropped the 93 and post up what I think you're capable of posting up. And let's say the total drops a stitch, but still hangs around.
That, like, near midnight. Yeah. that
Now
makes
people will be like, well, you better start saying Ash when you're talking about the big 3, it becomes the big 4, becomes whatever.
sense. Yeah.
It's a tough conversation.
Yeah, and I know, like, I think I have that reputation of, like, being probably better than people actually talk about, but I don't know, I'm just kind of like that, specter. I'm in there and then I'm out. I show up, I do something crazy, then I leave. So
Well-
I kind of like the reputation in a way.
Why do you think that is? Do you think it's because, why do you think that is?
One reason I think is because my training looks a lot different than most guys that
That's-
compete at the top level. Like, I don't train nearly as heavy as often anymore as I once did. Like, that's one thing. Because I used to train crazy, and I looked crazy too.
Right.
like now, I just look crazy, but I don't train as crazy all the time. I think that's probably one big reason. I just don't. And the other thing too is I just don't really put it all out there anymore either. I just kind of just do the thing, and I care about, like, those those moments, right? Like when you go in, you don't know what's going to happen, you give it everything, and win or lose, those are the things I care about the most, rather than what people have to say. But
I think now that you guys are in the IPF, and you guys probably seen the views on the USAPL streams were fractions of what the IPF is getting. I think now that both of you guys are here, even though you were established for those who are watching USAPL, seeing the battles against each other internationally for yourself, throw Keenan in there. So people who are like, until you come over to the IPF, you haven't dealt with travel. Well, that's not true. You haven't dealt with like a stacked class. Well, that's not true.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of the credit and respect you'll be given all around, now that you're here, the next year from this Worlds to Sheffield, if you with all due respect, if you guys make it there to World Games, you guys make it there. The next year will change your guys' legacy, your resumes, and how you look back and how you're viewed by
No
the
matter what.
community.
I agree with that.
No
Yeah,
matter what.
for sure. For sure. And hell, when people say I don't travel, when we competed in Memphis, I
People
drove
don't
13
have
hours to Memphis,
context.
dude.
People
Yeah.
let it slip through their brains.
I drove 13
Trust me.
hours, and some people take 2-hour flights in Europe. I'm like,
people don't
are you
have
really
context.
traveling? Or yeah.
Also, regarding the pound for pound thing, I just want to say real quick that that title belongs to the smaller man. I'm not going to lie. Look at other sports, basketball. Who's the best pound for pound player in the world? They say Allen Iverson or Stephen Curry. They don't say LeBron. They don't say Jordan. They don't say Kobe. They say the smallest guy. Who's the best pound for pound boxer? They say Roy Jones Jr. Or Mayweather, they don't say Ali.
I love that you said Roy Jones Jr., my
Yeah.
man. Thank you.
I love him.
But go on.
So pound for pound always refers to the lightest person. So
Yeah, I think it's kind of designed to give them.
I'm not gonna lie, you put a at the end of Rondell's career and Austin's career, you put a poll up who's greater pound for pound. Rondell is getting like 30% of votes.
Yeah,
No matter what.
Austin would still win that one.
Austin will always win it.
Even if Rondell is the better, even if he is like the better lifter
He just
with
won't
the
get that
higher
credit.
Pound for pound, people will always look at someone that's under 170 pounds, squatting 7 whatever,
Yeah,
and
just
say,
due to what you were saying.
That is crazy.
Due to what you were saying.
I've never seen a human ever do that. Ever.
I do want to see what happens. We're just talking about the credit you guys will get doing this IPF route. When Rondell comes back, I do want to see the talk about him and how it changes, because he's still young as hell, despite the fact that he was around 2018.
Yeah.
He's 26, maybe going to be 27 this year. And as the large men carry on,
I think he's a little older than that.
no, I think
I think he's like my age.
26
I'm
or 7.
26.
You would know for sure. I know my man.
I think
you
he's
do.
26 or 27.
Yeah,
It
I
is
think
probably
it's
27.
Mine or yours?
27.
I'm 27. He's 26. Yeah, he's one of ours. Yeah,
There
he's
it
somewhere
is.
in there.
There it is.
Yeah.
So he's going to come back, and when he does the loop around with all the different events, I do wonder how his legacy and the talk around him will change. I think drastically.
He'll have a lot. Good in a good way. He'll have a lot of pressure because
Oh, the hype has been building for years.
But I
have
think
a
he'll do
lot
well
of
though.
pressure.
I think he'll do well. Like even watching the most recent meet he did. I mean, like I think he's also just become a better lifter too. So I think he'll really like perform too.
wait,
He'll
so
show
he has
up
to
and
do
deliver.
worlds, right? And he probably won't go crazy.
No, he'll probably just show up, do something like disgusting, but like
Unless
not his absolute limit.
unless someone makes him, like, if by the time he gets there, Nonzo, I have no idea. Unless something weird out of nowhere, because look at
Actually, that's
Etienne
not
came
weird.
out of nowhere. He's a
Yeah.
junior, and Etienne now, or I mean, I don't gotta tell you. Sometimes people they're here, and endurance actually, they're here,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, boom! How you like me now?
I could see Nanto actually like pushing Rondell in the long run as well. Aside from Bob.
Yeah,
Or
he's gonna be. It's gonna
Yeah.
be.
I mean, he's as long as he keeps everything on like straight, like I think he'll
Yeah.
go very very far.
And he's got it. He looks like he has a great head and shoulders.
He does. Yeah.
So yeah,
I talked to him a few times. I like him.
yeah, he's cool.
He's a good dude.
I asked Jesus yesterday, but do you guys think it's fair that the super heavyweight will never be pound for pound king? Like, is it ever? What would Jesus have to be to take that title?
It's fair.
It's the total 3,000.
It's absolutely fair. You can't be pound for pound when you are the heaviest man in powerlifting.
You don't
That's
get to
one.
have it all.
However, you get the title that no one else will ever get.
I did the most. Yeah.
The strongest man.
I did the
So
most,
it's
yeah.
absolutely fair. What's not fair is the in-betweens, when you're not the lightest and when you're not the heaviest.
Yeah. When you're
like
105.
Rondell.
Doesn't get the credit he deserves
If you're
because
like 93 to 120, you're just kind of screwed in this conversation.
93. No, a 93 can be a god.
No. None of the current. Not
Well,
right now. Not as it stands.
Jesse Norris would have been like if he continued.
Yes.
I think he
maybe.
could have been. Or he didn't make it out of the U.S., etc. But you're right. If he
Yeah.
made it to Worlds, and best lifter, I bet you'd be like, he's pound for pound king.
I think it's, and I'm not biased. I think it's 105 and 120.
Those
that
are the
will
worst.
Always
Those
get
are worst.
hoed.
Yeah.
You can never have anything.
It's the worst there.
And Rondell is literally, that's the definition of it.
It feels like you can win, and it's just like, oh well,
And
good shit, man.
what's your resume for best lifter in the world or GOAT? Like your resume.
If they win across
tough.
multiple weight classes, if they win, best lifters like at world champs, and if they win actual, world titles.
You can't.
If you do all three of those, if you do all three of those,
That's hard.
then you're considered.
That's so hard. Austin just cruised, right?
Yeah.
For me to become best lifter, if I wanted to, you know what I have to total?
Yeah.
Something
I have to
ridiculous.
total like 22 something, well over 1K, just to be best lifter. So that's tough.
It's probably something ridiculous for me too. Yeah.
Let me ask you guys this. This has only happened once. But Taylor Atwood, when he did 838.5, had the best dots, good lift points, Wilks. He had every single formula #1. He had the tested record, the untested record. He had a world title. He had best lifter world title. He had literally everything. So when he's like, I'm pound for pound king, nobody like at that moment was like, I could dispute that. It wasn't a crazy long reign. Hanging on to all of those would be very difficult. But even Perk doesn't have that right now. Will that ever happen again? Or did Taylor come at a time like the sport is moving too difficult at this point?
Yeah, it's too difficult now to do that. I think.
I think it's possible. You know,
Possible, yes. Like we talked about with the sweep. It's like with the sweep. It's possible, but is it like the probability of it happening high? I would say no.
RPE 10 Austin. You never know.
What the shit?
Yeah.
Now, if he hits if Perkins, for example, hit like 870 at 74, that would probably do
even
it.
more. You could even debate even more, because I remember that 851. It looks like 870 was there that day.
That day, yeah.
Yeah. So
Even
he can
here,
get
I
stronger.
think he was still good for like more like deadlift wise. Like he only did, I think, what 325.
Yeah.
I think he was good
so.
for like a lot more than that.
Squats were a little tougher than I thought they'd be.
It's
They
because of his
were.
body weight.
That's
yeah.
right.
It could be a little few
And,
things.
and he said travel impacted him there.
If he's a full 74, I think, yeah, because he weighed in at like 72 something.
He needs to, whatever travel impact, because he said travel impacted and the body weight was lower than it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
He needs to tighten that up for Sheffield for sure and for future worlds. But to your point, if he can, and he could do what he did domestically, internationally at an event, he might be able to.
Yeah, he went.
Man, if I was him, I would have fun, and I would dominate. I would destroy the 66s. I would go up. If I was him, I would have fun. That's the type of guy I am.
Do you think he can go down to that?
He can. It'll be hard,
Like
but
that cut.
he have to be that weight for a long time,
Yeah.
so he could manage that weight. Probably squat
I mean, wouldn't he
300.
be better off, honestly, going up?
Imagine a
at that point?
66 squatting 300.
See, I was just saying this about 74, 700. You were giving me shit.
Yeah, but if you use that as a debate to take away from Rondell's pound
It's
for pound,
different
it's tough.
Yeah, that's
tough.
true. Because that's 2 squats and 2 weight classes. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, like seven.
Which is hard.
774, 300 at 66, and then there's the old. He doesn't have to add on a lot of body weight. His total's already there, comparable to 83s, and you have like superstars like Russ and now Jerns. I'm sure it's going to be a superstar now, so it's kind of like it's easier to put on weight than cut to 66.
What if we force fed him and he gets to 79, 80 kilos?
You guys could hold him down to force feed him, I guarantee you.
No,
I
he
ain't gonna
squats
lie,
like 340.
He should consider it.
Yeah.
Like, he'd be a Jonathan Garcia with a deadlift. Think about that. Just think about that. So, I mean, if I was him, I would experiment just because I could do it. You only live one life.
Yeah.
Imagine you win 3 world titles in 3 different weight classes, which he can do. All right?
This would be the Austin Perkins era. He would be our.
It's true.
That's going to be difficult to beat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
That's gonna be.
But
difficult.
yeah, at least he could always look back if he doesn't do it. He could always look back and say, I could have
Yeah.
done X, Y, Z.
Whenever he gets like drunk at the family barbecues, he can say, if I cut down to 66, I would have won that shit.
Yeah.
By a lot too. And then 83, like it's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
The
Not a lot of
possibilities
people
are-
can say that.
No.
2, okay, but 3 chips. Oh my God.
It is what it is.
Give me 110, 105.
That's cheating. I'm gonna be honest. That's cheating. I wouldn't count that.
No, it's pansy.
so
It's pansy. You have to do 120. Yeah.
That's cheating.
You got to do 120.
105, 100, 105, 110 is so cheating.
I think I did 100 too. I think.
Yeah,
No, you did 100.
yeah, it's cheating. But
Yeah, you can't do that.
What is the future for you guys? Are you guys continuing on in the IPF, and you think this is the pathway for me? Obviously, like there's Sheffield, World Games, other World Championships, other people returning. There's Nonzo coming up. There's a lot of challenges here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Can you guys see yourselves ever going back to the USAPL at this point?
anything is possible. I'm not tied to anybody, so it's not impossible. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but
Likely
I'm leaning
it's-
towards IPF for sure. Absolutely, that's where the comp is at.
Yeah. I'm kind of with Bob on this one. I think right now in our weight classes especially, I think we'll find a lot of really good comp internationally. You know, like if I do like 93, I think for sure 93 is more developed than 90. And I don't want to go to 90. I can't go below 200 pounds. I don't want to go below 200 pounds in body weight. It's too, yeah.
93 is probably the most developed period of anywhere you could go.
Well, right,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Of any weight class and any tested or untested. Yeah, I mean, it's just the most, I think, the most depth for men's weight classes. So, you know, I would be game for something like that. 105s is actually, you know, pretty cool too. I like 105. 120, I even like. I considered 120. The main reason I don't want to do 120, I could gain the weight. I mean, the main reason I don't want to do it is just because career-wise, it doesn't really make the most sense for me to do that. It would just make things a lot more difficult. So I would rather stay around 105, like 100 ideally. But 93 is okay. I can water cut. I know how to water cut wrestle. But yeah, I mean, the future is looking like probably IPF, probably 105 or 93. There's a strong possibility that I could end up in 93 at some point.
Dude, that would be the crazy, especially Juwan coming over. Oh my God, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing.
He can come on over. That's fine. He can come. I'll compete with him too. Anyone who wants to, show up.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Dang. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fan. Listen, fellas, I want to be respectful of your time. It's one thing to come in after you're done competing. It's another thing to come in when you still have to compete. And I know it's not the easiest task. And I super duper appreciate you fellas. You guys never say no. I reach out, let's do a podcast. You guys never say no. And for the love of the game, this is huge for the sport to make yourself available like this and have these discussions. So I appreciate you both. And I'll one last question, I guess, like what can we look forward to when you guys compete? And then we'll leave it at there.
Well, just a massive performance. Wish me luck. That's really it. Just a massive performance at my body weight. Yeah.
Yep. I guess what you can expect from me, I'll just continue to prove why I deserve to be here with the best in the world.
Yeah.
Thank you, fellas. I appreciate it. And for everybody watching and listening, keep coming back. Every single day we have more and more lifters, and double back because we have so many podcasts that have already been dropped from the 83s, 66s. I mean, there's every single day we have more and more, and we might call some audibles and bring people in that we didn't already advertise. So keep watching, keep subscribing, sharing, let everybody know. And until next time, 6-pack Lapidat, 6 up, and we are out.